Hello, this is Allie, author of The Perception Diet, of The Perception Trainers, and today I want to give you the number one secret to change that everybody knows about and no one does. Okay? So this is something that, this is what I'm going to tell you. And this is essentially it. This is like the answer for you if you want to transform and change and become the person that you've been trying to become forever. And I want to present it to you in this way because I know that for myself and for everyone that I've ever worked with, this concept and this idea is one of the most challenging concepts and ideas for us as humans to wrap our minds around, okay? And we resist it and we fight against it, and it is what keeps us stuck in who we are being at the time. And it is, like I say, it is really difficult to convince your mind to accept this truth. But if you can have anything you want. Okay? So that's kind of the preface for this. So I want you to understand that what I'm about to say, you're gonna resist. Okay? And you might even think that you're accepting it and are tricking yourself into thinking you're accepting it, but really you're resisting it. Okay? And so that when you feel resistance, when you feel yourself not wanting to do what I'm saying, when you feel yourself not wanting to believe it, when you feel yourself trying it and hating it, just know that that's normal. Okay? That is what's to be expected. And I want you to really be on top of yourself and really be honest with yourself about if you are accepting or rejecting what I'm saying. Okay? Because, yeah, this is human nature, this is human psychology, this has come up with every person that I've ever worked with, this has come up with myself, and it needs to be overcome, but you gotta be honest with yourself about where you are with it. Okay? So, just relax, pay attention to what I'm saying, pay attention to how you're reacting to it, and we will go from there. Okay? So, here it is. The number one secret to change. Okay? And the number one thing that is essentially stopping you from ever changing anything about you that you don't like or that you struggle with is this idea. And the idea is you always line up with your perception of who you believe you are. Okay? It's as simple as that. You will always line yourself up with your perception of who you believe you are. Okay? And so the first thing to understand with this idea is that your perception of who you believe you are, you may not even be aware of what that is. Okay? Because it has come almost always not from something you consciously decided about yourself, but from a whole bunch of things that you subconsciously took on from everyone around you from the time you were born to now. Okay? So usually by the time you're in your late teens, early 20s, 30s, you pretty much have a very defined sense of who you are. And again, you might not be aware of this person that you believe that you are, right? But your habits and your behaviors and the things that you struggle with are the reflection of who you believe yourself to be. Okay, so to give you an example, I struggled with my weight and with anorexia and with my body for pretty much from the time I was 14 to the time I was 24, yeah. That was my world. That was everything that consumed me. It was like food and my body and right? And so what enabled me to stop being that person was first understanding who I perceived myself to be. That enabled me to continue on with all of those negative self-destructive habits. Okay? So I'm going to interject here part 2 of how to change, right? And then loop it back to how this connects with, you will always line up with your own perception of yourself, okay? So you will always line up with your own perception of yourself. You may not be aware of what your perception of yourself is right now. All you have to do is look at your behaviors and your habits and the things that you do continually, the self-destructive things that you do continually, blah, 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 to say, okay, that is my perception of myself. I believe I am that person, okay? So if we just set that aside for a second, the number one tool that you need to transform your life and to become the person that you want to be is to have a vision for the person that you want to be, that you then become hell-bent on becoming, okay? So, again, I'm going to back up to my personal example. When I was sick and I was dealing with my eating disorder, blah, 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 I came to a breaking point, okay, where I looked at myself and I looked at my life and I said, okay, I think I've told this story in a lot of my videos, that I was sitting in Thailand, which had been my dream. I wanted to be in Thailand for a long time, and I was there. I was with the love of my life, who, again, I was convinced that I would be happy once I had a partner, and I had him, and he was there, and we were sitting in Thailand. I had an online job where I helped people, and I really thought that was going to be the thing that made me happy once I had that. We had more money than we had ever had in our entire lives. I'm looking out at the ocean. I have no fucking cares in the world, and I'm sitting there, and I'm miserable. Okay? I'm miserable in my body. I'm miserable in, I can't enjoy anything. I can't live up to, I'm sick all the time, and I'm just like constantly tired, and I'm constantly exhausted, and I'm constantly hating myself, and blah, blah, blah. And I sat there and I was like, holy shit, I don't want to be this person, right? I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be this person that I'm obsessed with my body all the time. I don't want to be this person that can't enjoy anything. I don't want to be this person that's constantly angry and moody and grumpy and hates everything. I don't want to be this person, right? But the thing that actually helped me in that moment, okay, was after that, I went for a massage, like literally, right after this kind of realization. And I sat in that massage, and I decided I was going to release all of these things about myself that I didn't like, okay? All of this, like, hatred and self-hatred and pain and shame and blaming myself and just, like, not being able to be anywhere or enjoy anything. And I was deciding that as I was getting this massage, I was letting this stuff go, okay? And it was funny because, like, the massage therapist was Thai and did not speak English, and so we didn't talk. It's not like I told her that this was what was going on, but I was really using this massage as like a sacred time of just like releasing all of this stuff. And she, like, at the end of the massage, like, our energetic interaction was really weird. It was like she could sense that something was going on, and she was like, okay, like I don't know what just happened there, but it was weird and it was crazy, right? Like, that was kind of her energetic reaction to me, which was kind of funny. And so I walked out of that massage saying, okay, I'm releasing all of this stuff. So what does that mean, right? If I'm letting go of all of this, who do I want to be, right? And that was the catalyst for me becoming who I am today, okay? I looked at all the stuff that said, okay, this is not what I want. This is not who I want to be. This doesn't align with my image of myself that I want to have. So who do I want to be, okay? So, and then I started, that's when, like, the first, when I started to practice it, like, if I already had my ideal body, how would I eat? How would I dress? How would I speak? Blah, 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 right? And so beyond that, it was like, okay, if I don't like how I'm flaking out all the time. So who do I want to be? I want to be someone who's reliable. So what is that going to mean? How do I have to be if I'm going to be reliable, right? That means I can't call in sick all the time. And that means that I can't make plans that I know that I don't want to do and then cancel at the last moment. So what I did was I said, okay, if I want to be this person that's reliable, that means I can't cancel and I can't call in sick anymore. So I took that away from myself. I'm the kind of person that is reliable. And then all of a sudden, all the patterns and behaviors that supported me always calling in sick and always flaking out on people, right? I said to myself, whether I'm sick or not, I'm going to work. Well, then all of a sudden, all of this self-sabotaging stuff that I was doing to myself to make myself sick as my reason for not having to do stuff, I was like, well, if I'm just going to have to go even if I'm sick, I don't want to be sick. And then all of a sudden, I stopped getting sick. It was crazy, right? So that happened, right? And then again, I'm treating my body as though it's already how I want it to be. All of a sudden, I'm eating healthy. I'm dressing kind of nice more. I'm carrying myself differently. People are noticing that I look and act and behave differently. My body hasn't changed, but my perception of myself and who I am changed, right? I didn't want to be the type of person that said negative things about my body all the time. Okay, so then what do I want to talk about, right? I wanted to talk about positive things. I wanted to talk about inspirational things. So I started doing that. You see what I'm saying? I wanted to be an inspiration, so I started writing blogs. I started making YouTube videos, like, as time progressed. Like, this was the person that I wanted to be. And I just continually forced myself, essentially, to behave like that person until it became natural. So here's what I want to say. Most people who want to change, most people who want to become different, most people who know that they're not being who they want to be and are trying to become someone new, default to focusing on all of the things that they don't like about themselves. They default to focusing on all of their bad habits and trying to fix their bad habits. They default to focusing on, how fat they are and how they don't want to be fat, how out of shape they are and how they don't want to be, how judgmental they are, blah, blah, blah. And you start to just like try and bring all this awareness to this, okay? That doesn't work. Because the thing is, it's not the thing that you're doing that's the problem. It's the fact that that thing that you're doing aligns with your self-image. That's the problem. And that you will always do what your self-image tells you you are. So what I'm going to suggest is this. Rather than focusing on your negative habits and your negative behaviors as though those are the problem, I want you to look at those things and say, okay, if I'm doing these things, what does this mean that I believe about myself? Right? I am the type of person that's overweight. I am the type of person that's constantly struggling with depression. I am the type of person that can't get over, like my self-pity. I am an alcoholic. I am blah, 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 right? So you have this self-image that's reinforcing these behaviors because you're always going to line up with your self-image. So again, if you're looking around saying, well, I don't know what I believe about myself, just look at your behaviors, right? Your behaviors are telling you what you believe about yourself. Second thing, choose a vision for who you want to be. And know that this is not faking it till you make it, okay? Because this vision for who you want to be is who you naturally are. All right, so this is like big key. The vision you have for yourself of who you want to be is who you are. This, who you're behaving like right now in your self-destructive behaviors and in your unawareness and in your self-defeatingness and blah, 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 that's not who you are. That is a caricature. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. This vision that you want is not faking it. Okay, that's real. This, who you're pretending to be right now, is the faking it. Okay, so if that's true, who do you want to be? Create that vision and hold that vision. 90% of your day should be focusing on that person that you want to become. Because again, you're not faking it and you're not denying who you are. That's you actually accepting who you are. Because this heightened, peaceful, able to nourish themselves, able to have healthy relationships, able to live a purposed life is not a self-improved version of you. Okay? That's the version of you that is able to be happy and live a good life and feel good. And that's natural. Okay? And so now what is going to be required is that you shift your self-perception as being someone who struggles and someone who's bad and someone who can't do what they want to do and someone who has negative behaviors and someone who is blah, 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 to this vision of yourself who is happy, holy, healthy. Okay? Because again, that's who you really are. And I really want you to think about that. That is who you are. That is who you are. And what's going to happen is, on your journey to becoming that person, you're not going to develop new beliefs. You're not going to take on new stuff. You're not going to really acquire anything. What you're going to do is you're going to let go of all of these self-perceptions that you have unconscious about yourself that never had anything to do with who you really were anyways. Okay? So like, for example, I had to let go of the idea that I was a weak, sickly person. Okay? Because that was a self-perception that I had taken on a long, long, long time ago that was not true. but it was true because I believed it, right? Because I believed it, I behaved that way. And because I believed it, I lived my life in a way that supported me being like that, right? So the second I say, okay, that's not who I want to be, I don't want to be weak and sickly, I want to be strong and healthy, right? That's my new perception. I am strong and I am healthy. That's who I want to be. So how does someone who is strong and healthy think? How does someone who is strong and healthy act? How does someone who is strong and healthy eat? Blah, blah, blah. And I started living like that. And I realized that that wasn't faking it, right? That's who I always was. And as I let go of this false perception of myself that I was weak and sickly, I stopped being weak and sickly, right? And I started to live up to my new expectation of myself, which was that I was strong and that I was healthy. And then I have been. Like, I literally stopped getting sick in that moment, right? So the takeaway here is this. If you want to change, it's not about focusing on what you want to change. It's not about focusing on all your flaws. It's not about focusing on all that's wrong with you and trying to fix it. That's never going to work. And it never works. And that's going to be your default. That's what you're going to want to do. You're going to think, if I just show myself how shitty I am enough, it's going to motivate me to change. But it won't. It never will. It's going to motivate you to continue to have that self-perception of yourself. Okay? So you have to look at that stuff and say, okay, if this is not what I want, what does that mean that I do want? Right? And then you get hell-bent on behaving like that person. And then when you can't, okay, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to have the vision for yourself, okay, I'm this healthy, strong person. And this healthy, strong person thinks and eats and behaves like this. And then you're going to go and do that, and then you're not going to be able to. And what you do then is you say, okay, what is my self-perception here that is stopping me from being able to do the behavior that I know is natural to this person that I want to be, right? And you look at that and you say, well, obviously, I believe that I'm incapable, or whatever it is, right? I believe this about myself in order to support this behavior. And then you look at that and you say, okay, so that's my foundational belief about myself. Now, what do I want to change it to? Right? So if it's like so my new reality is that I'm strong and healthy. And then you say, okay, so a strong and healthy person eats this for lunch. And then you go to eat that, but then you want to have pizza. And then you say, okay, what is it that I believe about myself that tells me that I want to eat pizza? Right? Well, what I believe about myself is that I don't have willpower, that I don't have the strength to make a good, healthy choice, that I would rather have the taste of, pizza, the pleasure of the taste of pizza in my mouth right now than I would like to have long-term health. And you say, okay, so that's my image of myself, that's the person that I am. Now, what if I were to say, okay, that's who I think I am right now, but what's the self-perception that I want to have? Well, I want to have the self-perception that I'm strong and capable and that I enjoy healthy food, that I enjoy nourishing my body, that I'm the type of person that likes eating healthy. So what would it feel like to be that person, right? And you just start to feel what it would feel like to be that person. And then you start, again, on your path to who you want to be. So it's not about focusing on all the stuff you don't want to be, right? That comes up for a moment to show you, okay, this is what I believe about myself, so now what am I going to replace that belief with? And then continue to behave like the person you want to be, okay? So this is calling yourself out. This is saying that you are going to require of yourself that you change your behavior before you feel like it. Because that's what is required. You have to behave like the person that you want to be before you feel like you're that person. And that's why no one wants to do this, right? Everyone wants to just defend why they are the way that they are. They want to defend the negative behavior, the self-destructive behavior. They want to defend the person that they've constructed themselves to be that keeps them in their prison, rather than saying, okay, this is just a fake self-perception and I need to tear this down, right? So you're going to want to defend your negative self-perception. You're going to want to tell me that I'm wrong. You're going to want to tell me that I'm blaming you. You're going to want to tell me that I'm making it your fault, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is, when you look at this from the perspective that I'm giving you, that you are just simply lining up with your self-perception, and that your self-perception can be changed. You just have to start to hold a vision for who you want to be and make that your focus. Everything is available to you. So that's all I have to say there. Leave me a comment, share, like, subscribe. Find me on Facebook, Perception Trainers, Instagram, Ali_Perception Trainers. and disagree with me, agree with me, whatever. I know that you're going to resist it. If you resist it, that's okay. If you don't, that's good too. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.